So we have some new reporting, guys, originally from the New York Times, but this year's in Vanity Fair. They say New York prosecutors think they have a criminal case against Trump for that 2016 hush money payment to Stormy Daniels. Report. Okay, so let me break this down a little bit for you. Right now, New York already has a legal case against Trump, but it's a civil case. It's not a criminal case. This is, of course, the Letitia James thing. We covered when she announced the charges against Trump. We covered that in detail. And, what we found out was not only is he a crook, but he's a crook, and there's an extreme amount of evidence to detail just how crooked he is. And Letitia James did a phenomenal job breaking down all the specific claims. There's tax fraud, there's, insurance fraud, bank fraud, all sorts of crimes he committed. Now, again, that's just a civil case, so what that means is, worst case scenario, they could do what's called the corporate death penalty against the Trump organization, but it looks like what they're going for is a $250 million fine. So that's already proceeding. I believe the court date on that is next October. That's when I think the case is going to unfold. But so that's already ongoing. This is different. This is a new New York case, and it's a criminal case. And it's over the 2016 hush money payment to Stormy Daniels. So for those of you who don't remember the details of that, of course, Trump had an affair with Stormy Daniels. She came out and did the tell-all thing, right? But in 2016, Trump and his team reached out to Stormy Daniels and said, hey, what is it going to cost to shut you the fuck up? And they ended up paying her, I think it was over $100,000. And Michael Cohen was the one who facilitated this whole thing. And he's open about all of it now, by the way, because Trump since turned on him, and so he turned on Trump. And what we learned was not only was there hush money payment, it also potentially came from campaign funds, which would be illegal. Okay, so here's what they say in Vanity Fair. At present, Donald Trump is facing roughly... this is like an article I wrote, judging by the first sentence. At present, Donald Trump is facing roughly 982,157 legal issues, a number of which could lead him to doing time in prison. For the past 9 months, though, there's been one legal matter he hasn't had to worry about, an investigation by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office leading to criminal charges. While the DA indicted the Trump Organization and his longtime CFO last year for allegedly running a 15-year tax fraud scheme, and said CFO testified against said company last week, no charges were ever brought against Trump. So in other words, they've gone after his business, not him. And an investigation into him personally was effectively shelved last February. But that reprieve is apparently over. According to the New York Times, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg has refocused its criminal investigation into Trump. But this time, it's not over the alleged tax fraud that resulted in his company being charged with more than a dozen crimes, or the case Bragg chose to all but drop earlier this year. Instead, the paper of record reports that prosecutors are returning to the matter that originally sparked their investigation into Trump a number of years back. The hush money payment made in the final days of the 2016 campaign to porn star Stormy Daniels, whom Trump sought to silence about an affair she said she'd had with the then candidate in 2006. While the DA's office, then headed by Cyrus Vance Jr., had ultimately chosen to shift its focus to Trump's broader business practices, Bragg, as well as some of his deputies, have reportedly recently indicated to associates, supporters, and at least one lawyer involved in the matter that they are newly optimistic about building a case against Mr. Trump as it relates to the $130,000 payment he made via his then lawyer Michael Cohen to Daniels. So look, they go on to say the bar for this to be a felony is actually kind of high, that originally it would fall in like the misdemeanor category, and they think they found a way to maybe make it a felony. So there's some question marks in terms of how effective this strategy would be. But look, just add it to the list of the number of investigations and potential indictments and convictions that he's facing. And I know Trump's a cat. I know he has 9 lives, but goddamn, we're on like his 18th life. So maybe it's time for one of these things. Maybe it's time for one of these things to actually bring him down. I guess we'll see. Hopefully, very shortly, but it can't come fast enough because now this fucker's running for president, and he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be allowed to run after what happened on January 6th. There was a brief window there where Congress could have acted and said, you can't hold office again, but they didn't. They cucked out to him. The Republicans cucked out to him. So that's a shame. Now we're relying on the legal system to take him down. I'll end on this note. I'll ask you guys this question because this is something Crystal asked to me, and I thought it was very, very incisive. If I told you you could guarantee Trump stops his campaign, but all the charges are dropped, would you take it? So in other words, let's say law enforcement officials or prosecutors, investigators, whoever, go up to Trump and they say, look, we're here to make a deal with you. Here's the deal. You drop out of the presidential race, and then all of these charges go away. And let's say he says yes. Would you take that deal? Or would you say, no, let's run it out and let them charge this motherfucker anyway? And even if they can't get him on anything, he's still probably not going to win at the moment, right? But you are rolling the dice to some extent. So in other words, there's a chance he becomes president, and there's a chance he ends up behind bars in one timeline, and in the other timeline, there's no chance he goes to prison, but there's also no chance he becomes president. Which one do you take? I think that's a really interesting question, and I'd be curious to know where you guys fall on it. It's probably something I should poll on Twitter, but it's kind of hard to word that, so I don't know. Anyway, there you have it. New charges for Trump. All right, guys, that's the show. I love y'all very much. Don't forget to click like on the video and subscribe. By the way, you have to click that bell notification if you're subscribed, because honestly, the bell notification, is what subscribing is supposed to be. So in other words, you're not, you could be subscribed to this channel and still, not get recommended that many videos from it. You really need to click that bell notification, because then you know every time a video drops, right? So click the bell notification, because that's actually being subscribed. So anyway, I'd really appreciate it if you guys hook a brother up. We're trying to get to 1 million subs. We're getting there. It's slow and steady wins the race, right? We're getting there, but it is tough. It has been tough. The algorithm is not kind to your boy, so hook me up. And a massive thank you, of course, to everybody who supports this show on Patreon. If you'd like to support the show on Patreon, the link is in the video description box below. You can, if you just hook a brother up with $2 a month or $5 a month, that goes a really long way. I think $7 is the top option there. So if you really want to go nuts, hook me up with $7 a month. You guys make what I do possible, and you guys make it so that I'm proud to say, never had a conversation with an advertiser my entire time doing this show. And I'm one of the only people who's been doing this for over a decade and never talked to an advertiser. So, again, a massive thank you to you. And a big thank you to everybody who is a supporter over on Substack for Crystal, Kyle, and Friends. You guys make that show possible as well. Same deal with that show. We never talk to advertisers. We don't bombard you with bullshit ads. It's all crowdfunded. It's all bottom up. It's all small dollar donors. That's what we believe in. So, love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Oh, and of course, you could listen on the podcast apps now if you prefer that over YouTube. So just another reminder, check that out if you haven't yet. All right, guys. Love you all. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.